Infantrymen don't just carry assault rifles into combat. This lightweight mobile machine gun can drench an enemy in mere seconds with steel rain from over 1,000 meters away.
It's the M249 squad automatic weapon, better known as the SAW. A terrifying machine designed to overpower an enemy with mobile rapid fire. Now I'm tracing its history from its bulky origins, the Madsen, the Chauchat, and the Lewis, through to the MG42 and the Bren. Then I'll examine the latest models challenging the SAW's place on today's battlefields.
This is the M249 SAW, a weapon that changed the world.
Firepower. Nothing shaped military capability more. I'm Wil Willis, former Army Ranger and Air Force pararescueman. I've trained with modern weapons until firing them is second nature. Now I'm teaming up with leading experts to examine the greatest military firearms of all time and discover how these weapons changed the world.
Targets! Today's infantry units face a different and dynamic enemy. At a moment's notice, they can be confronted with a highly mobile insurgent force that uses asymmetrical ambush tactics. They need a weapon system that provides the heavy volume of fire of a machine gun, but the accuracy and portability of a rifle. Let me introduce you to the M249 SAW, squad automatic weapon. It's a ferocious firearm that's been used in the U.S. military for the last 30 years.
Firing up to 850 rounds per minute, the M249 is the most lethal weapon in a squad's arsenal and only weighs about 15 pounds. In this combat video from 2010, an American infantry squad searches for a Taliban warlord and encounters insurgent activity in a village in southern Afghanistan. As incoming rounds from the enemy hit around them, the squad turns to its SAW gunner to lay down a devastating blast of suppressive fire. In emergency situations like these, the SAW can be fired upright from the hip, enabling the operator to stay on the move. The M249 SAW's firing mechanism is gas-operated. Once one of its 5.56 millimeter rounds is fired, propellant gases are diverted through a hole in the barrel into a chamber. This pressure forces its long-stroke piston back to extract and eject the spent casing, as well as advance the belt, making it ready to fire again.
To get the story behind the M249 SAW, we're working with Marines from the 1st Law Enforcement Battalion, Camp Pendleton, California. These Marines are from the 1st Law Enforcement Battalion. This is a newly formed unit that was organized to deploy worldwide for law enforcement, policing, and detainee operations. They also train foreign security forces.
To explain how the Marines employ the M249 SAW is Gunnery Sergeant James Fuentes.
Load, show clear.
You're clear. When they get in a hot spot, you have that machine gun power and a lightweight weapon system to easily maneuver on the enemy.
I recognize the M249 is the most casualty-producing weapon in a squad. Is that what you guys look at it as?
It's the highest firepower within a fire team or squad level. There's one per fire team, so you have 3 SAW gunners in each squad. Every member of the squad, other than the SAW gunners, are going to be carrying an M4. The SAW is used to set a base of fire, get the enemy's head down, and the M4s and the rest of the Marines are going to envelop and flank the enemy.
The SAW's high cyclic rate requires good fire discipline. Firing controlled bursts improves accuracy and avoids overheating the gun. Sustained rate of fire is about 50 rounds per minute. Rapid rate is about 200. And when needed, the gun can rock and roll at its full cyclic rate of 850 rounds per minute.
I know that when your rate of fire increases, accuracy is sometimes depleted. And we've got 4 Marines who are going to test this for us.
Yep, I have 4 Marines. They're going to show you how it's done.
All right, let's do it.
3 Marines will fire the SAW at 50 rounds per minute, 200 rounds per minute, and 850 rounds per minute. For baseline, a 4th Marine will shoot the M4. Then we'll look at the targets and compare accuracy and shot density.
Load! Make ready! Targets! Cease fire, unload, show clear!
In contrast to the SAW, the main rifle carried by a fire team, the M4, is designed to fire short bursts with deadly precision.
Make ready! Targets! Cease fire! Unload, show clear! Shooters, make your way down range.
Okay, so let's start down here on the far end with our SAW gunner who was firing on a sustained rate of fire.
That's 50 rounds a minute.
50 rounds a minute. He's really accurate. He's on target right here. All 30 rounds are inside of the target area. Over here, you can see that things start to spread out a little bit as we transition from a sustained rate to a rapid rate of fire. But we still have some good rounds up here in the area. Some kicked off to the side, but you're gonna see that in any weapon system where you're picking up that rate of fire, okay? And then over here, we have the cyclic rate of fire. 850 rounds a minute. A lot of times that gun can get away from somebody, but it's a good group though. This shooter obviously has some skill with his weapon system. Of course, with the M4, precision fire is really, really accurate, and his rate of fire is gonna be substantially less than with the SAW.
The SAW's ferocious rate of fire produces a lot of heat. So how does it deal with that?
You can fire cyclic rate using this belt-fed ammunition, but there's a problem.
The problem with that is 200 rounds cyclic rate means pulling that trigger and expending all 200 rounds without a break. The barrel's gonna get really hot. It could possibly melt the barrel, it can cook off a round, and a round will go off inside of the weapon system. Very dangerous. So you have to do a barrel exchange after 200 cyclic rounds gone through the barrel.
Being able to fire the SAW at a cyclic rate is very important to provide suppressive firepower.
Now, to demonstrate the suppressive capability of the M249 SAW, I'm gonna start walking rounds from the left side of the target across to the right. What we should see is the damage that it does.
Our target is a 1-inch thick sheet of PAL guard, used in police riot shields to stop rocks and shrapnel. We'll see how it holds up to the SAW's 5.56 millimeter caliber bullets.
Make ready.
Ready?
Targets. Freaking outstanding, Will.
It was nice. It felt good. I felt controlled as I came from left to right.
Well, I'm excited to see what the impacts look like downrange.
All right, let's go check it out. This is like super plastic. So I actually started slightly to the left. There's a little up-down variation here, and then it gets really regular. 21 rounds on this target, just laying down a nice little grazing fire just over the top of these guys' heads is gonna keep them suppressed.
If there wasn't enough dispersion in between the enemy insurgents, you're gonna get them all in this one shot.
Oh, yeah.
With just a quick burst, the M249 can send dozens of enemies diving for cover. But what gives the SAW its real power is its coordination with the other weapons in the fire team.
The M249 SAW works in tandem with the M4 in any mobile infantry squad, and we're gonna test that out.
What we did is we set up 12 colored water jugs simulating enemy insurgents online. We also got 2 high targets of opportunity to Sergeant Brennan with the M4. We're gonna do a timed event to see how long it takes Will and Sergeant Brennan to take out all the targets.
I must first take out the torso-sized targets on the right. Then the M4 will blast the high target. Then we'll clear the left.
Shooters, load! Make ready!
As I'm using my saw's rapid rate of fire to clear the bottles, the M4 takes out a pail with a single lethal shot.
Time! 30 seconds. Outstanding. Let's go check out the targets.
All right. I decided to fire more of like a rapid rate of fire rather than like cyclic and try to wipe the whole line out in one go. By the time we got over to here, I'm sure you had an itchy trigger finger with your M4.
That's one dead bucket.
How many shots did you take total?
Took 2 shots, 1 on each target.
2 shots, 2 kills.
Discover the past with exclusive military history documentaries and ad-free podcasts presented by world-renowned historians, all on History Hit. Watch them on your smart TV or on the go with your mobile device. Download the app now to watch everything, from the gripping story of the Band of Brothers to Operation Barbarossa and D-Day. Immerse yourself in the dramatic stories of this remarkable era by signing up via the link in the description.
I think these weapons work really well together. That's the purpose that they're designed for. Suppress targets, take precision shots with your weapon system, and execute the mission, and I think we did that. Good job. Thank you very much.
This light machine gun not only surpasses its predecessors, it gives rise to an increasingly lethal military doctrine.
Known as the most casualty-producing weapons in a squad, their heavy volume of sustained automatic fire keeps enemy heads down and allows the squad to advance.
To fully comprehend the development of the SAW, we have to look back to 1884 and the introduction of the world's first automatic machine gun, the Maxim. American inventor Hiram Maxim devises a way to use the recoil to eject an empty shell, then load and fire the next. Previous attempts at repeat fire guns like the Gatling are hand cranked. But the Maxim is an automatic firing method, a drastically more efficient and deadly system. Here to tell me about it is U.S. Army Infantry Branch historian David Stejan.
The Maxim gun is reliable, it's heavy, it's old world technology. They are meant to not only work in rough conditions, but they're built to last.
All right, Dave, I can tell that this is a Maxim machine gun, but what type of Maxim is it?
This particular one is a Russian Maxim, model of 1910. These were used in World War I and World War II up to about 1950. The greatest drawback of the Maxim machine gun was its weight. It was not very portable. This is so heavy and hard to move on the battlefield, the Russians tried to figure out a way so that they could move it, even with a soldier if they had to. They put wheels on the back of it so they can even bring it through snow, mud, or whatever it takes. So we're gonna give a test. We're gonna turn you into a Russian soldier here for a few minutes. We're gonna take this beast forward about 30 yards up through the woods. We're gonna find a position to fire, blow open a cinder block wall at 30 yards.
Behind the wall, there's a torso-sized soft target. Let's see how long it takes the Maxim 7.62 millimeter round to punch through and take it out.
Let's find out how heavy this thing really is.
All right, let's go.
When you said let's, I thought you meant both of us. Need to come down a little bit. There we go. Lock us in.
Okay,
Good.
kill it.
All right, safety's off, going hot. Reversing left.
It's amazing to see how easily the 7.62 millimeter caliber round flies right through the cinder blocks.
You're busted on the trench now.
You know what's great about this is once you're on point and you can see where your rounds are hitting, you can kind of come off the sights, make those small adjustments left and right. I can tap this thing, adjust it lightly. It's on point.
Yeah, it gives you a beating zone.
Yeah.
In World War I, the Maxim and other heavy machine guns are deployed with devastating effect as defensive weapons. To counter them, gun manufacturers start playing with the possibilities of developing a more lightweight, portable offensive weapon.
Hey, Dave, I noticed that this particular machine gun looks a lot more like the modern weapons that I'm familiar with, like the M249 SAW.
This is a Madsen. First developed in 1896 in Denmark. What's unique about this is it's actually the first light machine gun. It weighs about 21 pounds, and one soldier can pick this up and carry it forward with his buddies to give them fire support, not just from a single defensive position in one place like a heavy Maxim. What we're going to do is we're going to advance through this trench system, and we're going to fire at the same type of center block target that we used to take out with the Maxim.
Because the Madsen gun is lighter, I'll run double the distance across tougher terrain before even attempting to eliminate the targets. Then, we'll compare the time each gun takes to complete the test. Remember, it took me 50 seconds with the Maxim to move 30 yards across fairly even ground and then destroy the targets.
Ready to give it a shot?
Let's do it.
Let's go.
All right. Shit.
All right. It goes in here in the hopper.
Okay.
Clicks on, pull the cocking handle back, and you shoot. Okay. There, you got it.
It's down in 43 seconds. That's 7 seconds faster than the Maxim, and that includes covering ground obstacles the Maxim couldn't.
Oh, well, what do you see different with that?
Obviously, coming through this trench, you can see that it's a light machine gun. It's something that's very maneuverable. It wasn't as stable a firing position as we had before, but again, you're sacrificing more stability for that maneuverability. But once we got on target, we eliminated the target very quickly behind the center block wall.
The Madsen is produced in limited numbers during World War I due to its complex design. One weapon that is mass-produced for the conflict and eventually used by the Americans is a notorious light machine gun called the Chauchat.
All right, Dave, I recognize this weapon system, and it has an infamous reputation for operating very poorly. Are the rumors true?
This is the Chauchat, developed before World War I by Colonel Chauchat, and the idea was to create a weapon that could be made very quickly and very cheaply. When World War I went from being an open warfare into trench warfare, for the soldiers had an attitude. They didn't want to just sit in the trenches. They wanted to liberate their countryside from the Germans. So they had to take firepower with them ahead into no man's land. The weapon's very simple, it's very sloppy, and there were 287,000 of these manufactured. Most common automatic weapon, World War I.
The Chauchat's unique semicircular magazine is necessary because of the tapered and rimmed 8mm rifle cartridges it uses. Large openings are designed to save weight and to see how many rounds are left. But in the muddy trenches, it allows dirt and debris to jam the action, leaving attacking gun crews stranded.
One of the most effective attempts to confront the immobile heavy machine gun in World War I came toward the conflict's end with the Browning automatic rifle, or the BAR M1918, designed to be used by the mobile infantrymen and fired from the shoulder, the hip, or lying on the ground.
The American Expeditionary Force introduces the BAR on the Western Front in 1918. It fires a powerful 30-06 cartridge and comes with a 20-round magazine. But how does the BAR compare to the Chauchat?
So, Dave, what do you say we go put these two trench brooms to the test?
Absolutely. We're going to have a comparison of the Chauchat, which has such a terrible reputation for efficiency, and test it against the Browning automatic rifle, the BAR.
We'll start with the Chauchat by taking out torso-sized targets on the move. And then I'll test its accuracy and penetrating power by attempting to hit a small explosive behind sandbags.
Once I've done this, I hit you on the
Once
shoulder.
again, Dave's going to be my assistant gunner, transporting and loading my magazines just like an AG would do in World War I. We'll have 3 magazines, each with 20 rounds.
Let's take them out.
Stand by.
Magazine!
It's really, really inaccurate. All right, ready to rock.
Hey, you got it. Magazine!
Change mags.
All right,
Got it.
clear that trench. I'll take it down. We'll see the action, removing the mag.
How many rounds do we have?
All right. Load to the right. Here, right below it. And wait a minute.
That's it.
Well, we didn't get it. But that's a tiny target back there.
Ben, I'm gonna be honest, the reality is it feels like you're hanging on to a pogo stick. I mean, it's really rocking you. And trying to keep rounds on target, it's crazy when you try to fire with that sustained or cyclic rate, those rounds would start to climb. And for me, that's when I stop firing, kind of reorient that weapon where it needs to be.
Now it's time to put the BAR to the test and see how it compares to the Chauchat.
First position is full auto, second is semi-auto. Ready?
All right, I'm ready.
Let's go, let's take them out.
Out. Change of mags. Rate of fire is a lot faster. Lower.
There you go. You got it.
The results of this comparison are damn clear. The Browning is a better weapon system.
It's a better weapon than the Chauchat. Again, I prefer that shoulder-mounted feel. You got enough of these guns, you're gonna keep heads down in trenches.
But the weapon that really busts up the conflict's trench stalemate is the Lewis gun.
These were developed actually just before World War I by an American, Colonel Isaac Lewis Newton. He had no success in trying to sell it to the U.S. government, but he went overseas and the Europeans really liked it. In fact, the British began to build these in large quantities just at the beginning of World War I.
I think another interesting thing about this is that this is actively air-cooled.
This is a kind of a vacuum chamber. So what happens is when the bullet exits the barrel, it creates a vacuum inside there, sucking air from the back to the front. Not only does it help to cool the barrel down, but it gives a less sense of recoil when you're firing the weapon. But you can fire at 600 to 800 rounds almost continuously as a sustained fire weapon. You can't do that with any other automatic rifle of World War I.
During World War I, more than 50,000 Lewis guns are produced, and we've got a test to show the weapon's versatility.
What you're going to find is a number of targets out there on the table. You're going to be able to sweep and take those out with 47 rounds. Once we empty that first magazine, we're going to stop, pick up, and displace, go forward to another firing position, and engage another set of targets. What this will show is how easy it is to pick up a Lewis gun and move it forward on the battlefield. Let's go.
I have just 2 Lewis magazines holding 47 rounds each to take out 16 targets at 50 yards.
Go to the next.
All right, moving.
Within seconds, we go to our next series of targets and open fire.
How sick is that? That is awesome. I'm able to single shot. I'm able to burst fire. And then I was able to just sweep across and lay down that nice suppressive fire that you expect from this kind of machine gun. What an impressive, impressive light machine gun. The Chauchat, the Lewis light machine gun, and the BAR M1918 all clearly showed that automatic weapons could support infantry units on the move. After World War I was completed, nations on both sides began rearming with new automatic squad support weapons.
One of the fiercest weapons of World War II is the Bren gun. It spits out 520 rounds per minute and weighs only 22 pounds. When World War II begins, the Bren gun takes the front lines by storm. On the Western Front, 23-year-old British Corporal Sidney Bates is with his battalion when they come under intense enemy fire from the Germans' 10th SS Panzer Division.
Right! Coming down the hill!
When a gunner is killed next to him, Corporal Bates seizes a Bren light machine gun and charges, moving forward through a hail of bullets. Although wounded twice, he continues firing, forcing the Germans to retreat. Steve Hazelwood of Oklahoma Machine Guns is a specialist on the Bren and other World War II firearms.
It is a tough weapon. Nothing breaks on it, and it's extremely reliable.
All right, so the first weapon we're looking at here is the Bren, which seems like an unusual name for a machine gun.
Yeah, the Bren gun was actually taken from a design from Czechoslovakia, and the town there was Brno, and then they made it in Enfield, England. So they matched the Brno with the Enfield Bren.
One of the first things I noticed, coming up here is that this has a severe curve to this magazine. Can we explain a little bit about why that is?
The main point is the .303 British round is a rimmed case. The case is also angled in a little bit, and so when they rest on the other bullets, it will put at more of an angle.
And the purpose of this actual rim on the cartridge is so that the extractor that's on the bolt face can grab onto that cartridge and pull it out of the chamber.
It's able to support more of the case in the chamber and then get a better hook on the actual rim so it can pull it out.
Cannot wait to try this thing out.
It's a great gun.
All right, let's do it.
All right.
During a burst of fire from a light machine gun, the vibration of the weapon causes slight variations in the trajectories of the bullets. The pattern formed by this cluster of rounds on its way to the target is called a cone of fire.
To demonstrate the accuracy of the Bren, I'm going to use that pot as a point of aim. And because there's a backer behind that pot, we should be able to see where all the rounds impact and see what kind of tight group we have.
Sounds great.
All right,
Let's
cool,
do
man.
it.
Let's do it.
All right, you ready?
Roger that.
3, 2, 1, fire.
All right, man, 2 short bursts, got it done, right?
We got it.
You can see there's damage on the backside from even that clay pot exploding. I mean, this is all shrapnel damage over here, but you can see that's a nice tight group, and that's what you would expect to see from that weapon. That Bren's very accurate. I'm impressed.
Partially due to its high-quality design, the Bren is unusually accurate for a light machine gun with a tight cone of fire. Therefore, it is sometimes as useful for sharpshooting as it is for suppressive fire. Today's cutting-edge light machine guns, like the M249 SAW,
Fire.
trace its development to many advances made during World War II, including a revolutionary German design introduced in 1942. Notorious for its astonishing firing rate of 1,200 to 1,500 rounds per minute, twice that of the British Bren, the MG42 is a superbly engineered weapon, feared by its enemies and nicknamed the Buzzsaw.
Okay, Steve, this is the MG42. What can you tell me about it?
Well, this was the German gun that was called the Nazi Zipper or the Buzzsaw. Because of its high rate of fire, it had a very distinct sound, and it was quite intimidating to most troops on the Allies.
And if I understand correctly, the optimum size of a crew for this weapon system was 6 guys. 3 guys just to carry ammunition, entrenching tools, and spare barrels.
That's correct. Because of the high rate of fire, you had to carry extra barrels because the barrels would get too hot to use. In Germany, they were so confident that this weapon would take out the Allies that they put it up on the front line at the front. And actually, the Allies would not advance when they heard the zipper going off.
The MG42 is brutally deployed against one of the last Soviet assaults on entrenched German positions. 1 million Soviet soldiers attacked 110,000 dug-in Nazis, fanatically defending the last gates of Berlin. The Germans mow down thousands with help from the MG42, but through sheer massive infantry, the Soviets eventually break through the front lines of the Seelow Heights.
All right, brother, to give one of World War II's most hellacious weapons its due, we've set up an elaborate test. What we have are 7 torso targets down the range there, little blue men. They've all got weapons, and we're gonna take them out. It's only about 50 yards away. We're gonna have to traverse quite a bit, but I think we'll demonstrate the rate of fire, the accuracy, and how deadly this thing can be.
We've given you 200 bullets, so don't shoot them too fast.
All right, man. It's 1,400 rounds a minute, right?
Yes, it is.
We should be done in about 20 seconds.
Not even that. Are you ready?
Yeah, I'm ready.
3, 2, 1.
Runaway gun a little bit there.
I fired roughly 100 bullets in only a few seconds.
Change barrels. Thing's smoking hot, man.
And if I don't change the barrel, it can melt.
Get rid of the old barrel. A good gunner would be able to switch this out in under 5 seconds. Put the new one in. Go ahead and load.
Thank you. All right, it's clear. Let's take a look at these targets. This guy's not having a good day. He's got 1, 2, 3 rounds to the lung. This one maybe just clipped underneath the rib cage. He's gonna bleed out into his chest cavity internally. Not good. This is all traumatic stuff. I mean, multiple rounds, tight patterns, you know, in the head, in the chest. When you're moving in a formation like this and 1, 2, 3 guys goes down from fully automatic machine gun fire, they put their heads down, all right? And that's why it's a suppressive fire weapon.
Overall, the patterns are all pretty tight, which is amazing.
The Bren is obviously a more manageable weapon, and for me, very accurate. You know, I like the slower rates of fire. The barrel's not gonna heat up as fast on the Bren, but with this MG42, it's definitely got a quantity of lead coming down this way.
The MG42 may have had one of the fastest rates of fire for a machine gun in World War II, but speed isn't everything. The fact that it often took 5 other soldiers just to support the gunner is a burden today's light machine guns like the SAW don't have to deal with.
Today, this class of guns has evolved further into ideal squad automatic weapons. Versatile, lightweight with increased range and power that can be operated by one man. The H&K 21 Echo is based on the popular G3 battle rifle from the late 1950s. This is made by Heckler & Koch and is designed for versatility.
It can use a box belt of 50 or 100 rounds. Its barrel, bolt, and feed mechanism can be swapped out to change calibers from 7.62 millimeters to 5.56 millimeters.
Now, I'm going to be engaging targets on 2 different stations, Station 1, Station 2. Station 1 has closed targets. There's 3 of them. Once I've eliminated those targets, I'm going to displace very easily over to Station 2. I'm going to engage those 3 targets over there. Now, I'm told that one of those targets has a little extra something to it. Let's see what happens. One of the things that you see with this H&K is the versatility. Over here at Station 1, I was able to fire at my 3 targets, semi-automatic fire, single round into each target. I had 3 more targets through this window. I engaged with automatic burst fire. And that's one of the great capabilities that this H&K brings to a fight. Not only maneuverability, but the option to fire single rounds versus fully automatic rounds. Not a lot of light machine guns have that capability.
While the HK-21E is utilized by the militaries of a number of countries in Asia, Africa, and Latin America, in the U.S., the M249 SAW is still the top dog of its class. The M27 is a new model, slated to serve alongside and possibly replace the M249 SAW in Marine Corps service. It's also currently used by Special Forces for taking out high-value targets. Mike Cabrera is a former SWAT team operator and an expert on the M27.
As far as tactics goes, the M27 is much more urban friendly, if you will, for doing the type of entries into buildings and things of that nature that we're facing now with government and law enforcement.
Okay, Mike, I've carried the M249 SAW for more kilometers than I ever want to remember. And the first thing I noticed about this M27 in comparison is that it is very, very lightweight.
Yes, polymer on that weapon system sure helps out a lot, but the big difference is the fact that you have a better accuracy type of weapon system. It's good for suppressive fire, and it only weighs about 8.19 pounds versus the SAW weighing about 22 pounds.
With the SAW, you can carry 600 rounds of ammunition. That's kind of a standard load, 3 drums of ammunition. I've noticed that we've got 30-round, 20-round magazines for the M27. Does that put this weapon system at a disadvantage?
Because of the fact that you, the operator, can carry numerous magazines on the person, up to including a 100-round drum, you don't have to rely on your partners out in the field to carry ammunition for you.
The M27's magazines and drums are easily inserted, and the weapon comes with a selector switch to alter firing rates from single shots to burst fire to full automatic.
Yes, you can lay down suppressive fire with that weapon system, but the accuracy is great. Close quarters, moving around in buildings and things of that nature, that's what you want. So we'll see how it goes through the course today.
All right, man, let's do it.
Let's go.
Like other assault rifles, the M27 is gas operated, but it restricts the gas to a tiny forward section of the barrel. The force of the gas kicks back a piston rod that ejects the shell and loads up the next round. We've set up a test to highlight the mobility, accuracy, and heavy firepower of the M27. I'll traverse an obstacle course with multiple firing positions while taking out 11 targets.
Okay, Will, you got 60 seconds to complete this challenge. I think you're going to be able to do it with no problem at all. Go ahead and load and make ready. Okay, weapons hot. On my command, 3, 2, 1, go. Nice shooting.
The lightness of the M27's weight is surprising. I can move faster and easier.
Move it.
I've already displaced twice within 25 seconds, and have only one more cluster of targets to go.
Nice shot, Will. Outstanding. Got it done in championship time, 45 seconds.
It's a great weapon system. Can't really complain about it. It's lightweight. I mean, I can see why a lot of units would want to transition to this. I felt like I was moving faster, and that's really, it equates to lethality in combat.
Yeah, great weapon system functionality. You did great with it.
Yeah, I would really like to get my hands on that 100-round magazine and see how that goes.
Yeah, that would be great.
All right,
too.
thanks a lot, Mike.
Will, thank you. It's always a pleasure.
Targets! In service since 1984, the M249 SAW remains one of the most lethal weapons in a squad's arsenal. A combination of mobility and power that's been a mainstay of U.S. military action from Panama to Afghanistan.
I've blasted away with the SAW on various tests and demos. Now I'm ready to take this signature weapon into one final test. Here to help me with that is former Marine and M249 SAW gunner Clayton Cannon.
Thank you, Will. The M249 SAW, I carried it for 4 years. It's amazing at laying down suppressive fire, and the M4 is perfect for sneaking up on the side and taking them out.
So what are we looking at?
Now, we've got quite the mission ahead of us tonight, all right? Now, I've heard you become pretty good with the SAW.
I'm good.
So what we're gonna do is we're gonna see how well you handle the SAW while I support you with M4 fire.
Sounds great, man. So what are we looking at?
So here's the intel on the enemy. We've got a group of terrorists down here hiding out in the cantina. Now, they got a briefcase carrying instructions about a major drug shipment. We gotta take them out, we gotta seize that briefcase, and we gotta get those instructions.
They're also armed with the AK assault rifles.
Here's what I suggest. We're gonna move down this slope into that electrical shop that's across the street from the cantina. Now, I'll set up inside that shop in a support by fire position. That should give you the opportunity to flank around, get into that building, and eliminate any threats on the inside.
I like the sound of it.
And to make this a little bit more realistic but execute safely, we're gonna go ahead and use the simunitions. Now, this is a round that the military and law enforcement uses for training purposes, and it's a projectile that can be fired through the weapon system itself.
And it makes a visible mark. So now we're gonna go with 2 hits equals a kill.
I'm ready, man, whenever you are.
All right, let's do it.
All right, you ready to do this?
Locked and loaded.
We maneuver down the slope to the building across from the cantina. I identified targets outside of the cantina right away. So I set up in a support by fire position, and I had Clayton flank around.
This M4 is perfect for flanking them from the side. But first, I need Will and that M249 SAW to lay down suppressive fire for me.
After one of the targets ducked into the cantina, I displaced to my next position to cover Clayton's assault on the building.
There was no briefcase in the cantina, but I managed to take out the one terrorist that was in there.
I'm on the outside. If Clayton flushed anybody out, I'm there to take out those runners. 3 guys squirted out the back. I was able to engage one of them. 2 other guys went into the plaza next to the church.
Will, there is no briefcase in here.
All right, brother, there's 2 more in the courtyard. You ready?
Let's do it.
Let's roll. We maneuvered through the building because that's the safest thing to do. You don't go out into the street to maneuver if you can stay behind cover or concealment. I'm gonna pop out, you go down the wall, okay?
Okay.
My suppressive fire with the SAW pushed back the terrorists, allowing Clayton to rush the courtyard. Game over for the bad guys.
All right, that's it. We've done it. We've cleared the town.
We got a case here. We got our intel, mission accomplished. But this is really all about how this particular light machine gun incorporates into squad-type tactics. Now, you can see that the suppressive fire capability, the M249 SAW, complements that M4 perfectly.
49 SAW grabs their attention. Lays down as much fire as a full squad. And the M4 is amazing. So close, handheld, easy supportive, sneak up on them, take them out.
I was able to get in that support position. He was able to do a dynamic flanking maneuver up to the building, make entry, and eliminated the last 2 targets. So good on him. Thank you for coming out.
Thank you so much for having me, Will.
Demonstrating what an incredible pairing this is, right? All right.
From the turn of the last century, through world wars to the Cold War, the light machine gun revolutionized a soldier's ability to fire on the move. Its modern incarnation, the M249 SAW, is still ripping enemy lines after 3 decades.
The M249 SAW has added range, mobility, and firepower to tactical teams globally. It's truly a force multiplier and a weapon that changed the world. I'm Wil Willis, locked and cleared. I'll see you next time on the range.